So when we put this together, we overfilled it. It's way full of oil. It's about 3/4 of an inch higher than the max line, but bear in mind that the oil filter and the oil cooler are not installed and they don't have the oil passing through them. So what we're going to do, we're going to reinstall that, and I'm going to take all this hardware off here so I can crank it over with a rattle gun on the harmonic balancer. We'll also connect a oil pressure tester and see whether or not we can get pressure moving and at least the oil flowing into the filter and the cooler. So we'll go ahead, set that up. I'll also put the boss or the mount for the distributor in here a little bit later, and we've still got a little bit of work to do with the Dizzy as well. Other things is we've just loosely installed, this is where the coil's going to go. That's the original spot. We've replated the coil bracket and the coil is coming. I'll be using the car came with the original Luminition brand Optronics electronic ignition kit. This is not original, this is an aftermarket thing, but it's period with the car. I could go back to the points and still considering it. It depends on how this is going to look in the car when it's wired up. I have to tidy this up. But this would go on the inner wall on the driver's side. There's 2 holes already in the wing wall to mount this. And it would be pretty neat. This is a pretty old, but apparently a pretty reliable and trusted brand and design because it uses optical rather than magnets for ignition. So we may still use this. Anyway, we'll go ahead, we'll take all this off. I want to turn it over a little bit, make sure it turns smoothly. We may even check the points as well here when we turn it over, just make sure that they're appropriate just for the initial run, and then we'll proceed to rebuild the rest of the engine. We're going to do a fire up of the engine outside of the car. So we got a new oil cooler. We're not going to use the old one. You should replace them anyway after a while, so it's a new unit, but we're going to reuse the original hoses. Here's the original hoses. The outer protective weave is a little bit damaged in some locations, but they're the proper GT ones. I'll just try to clean them up with a bit of degreaser. It's got a stamp in it here, AYG 2272, AYG 2272. So, oh yeah, they're both matching. We're ready to go now to install the oil cooler. So I don't know if this is a proper thing to do, but I have put a bit of plumber's tape on all the threads here and also on the oil filter housing and the on the block. And we've tidied up these as best as we can without really damaging too much of the plating. Hopefully we get like a nice tight seal, and so yeah, we'll go and install them now. Get that done. Alright, that's nice and tight. It's probably in the right position. Next up, we will reinstall the distributor housing. Here's the housing. I'm not going to do too much to clean this up, but I will replace the O-ring. Here's the original, and it's split. It's really hard, very brittle. So fortunately we got another one of them. We'll go and install that, slide it down into the port. So here's the new O-ring. I don't know really how much oil passes up through there, past this distributor housing, but look, it's good to put a new O-ring on nevertheless. So should be the same diameter, it looks to be. Yep, so we'll just put that on and insert it down into its port. There we go. Alright, that's flush with the surface there. Nice and tight. We'll go ahead and install the starter motor. And it's good to see that this starter motor has the stamping 671, so June 71, which is probably could even be the original one, given that this was a 771 car. So for the trial run of this car, I'm going to actually take out my distributor from my working car and my coil and connect them up. Because I know how they work, and the setup on my other engine is pretty much the same as this. It's got a similar kind of compression ratio. This head's been skimmed a lot, so I think it's about 10.5 compression. It's got the most likely the GT cam, and I've also got a GT cam or a Cooper S cam in my current car, so I know that the setup for that distributor, which is a custom made, should work nicely in this car, and along with the twin SUs that are already set up, I know that I've got a combination there that should kick this car over and get it running. Alright, first up we'll do a quick and nasty compression test. Just got the battery hooked up to the starter, and I'll just start on cylinder 4. So let's connect this up. Alright, here goes. I haven't seen what this engine can do. Let's see what compression we get. Uh, 120. Only 100. Alright, something's wrong with cylinder 2. Let me just try the last one. Only 75. Wow. Alright, so that's running dry. I'm going to put a dribble of oil in each of these. I can see the oil coming up the top here, which is great. It's dripping through. But yep, we'll just redo this. I've put a bit of oil down each of the pistons. So the good news is we're getting like 90 psi oil pressure, a bit higher than I'd want, but that'll drop down with a bit of heat into the oil as well. So we've got oil pressure. So the good news is the oil pump is in good working order. Fantastic. We've dropped the quantity of oil down from the dipstick now that it's passed through the oil cooler and the oil filter. So let me just double check. So we're halfway, which is great. Right on the line. I put a full 5 litres into that. And I'm just using a very, very stock, super cheap auto oil, 2050. So 90 psi. Bad news is getting very, very low compression. I think that was 120, 110, pretty much nothing on this one. And this was 90 or so, or 75, no, 75. So that's not good. I don't know what's going wrong there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check all of the clearances and check the torques on all of the nuts. And then we'll see what we do after that.
Drag's 20-minute attack, 7 tackles set. They're in here, 25 minutes and 18 all New Town and Canterbury, Penrith 20 leads South 18, Roosters 18 at half time, 5 metres out from the Melbourne Storm goal line. Domination, George Morris, 6/4 of an hour.
I'm going to be installing my current dizzy that's in my working car. This is a peak ignition dizzy that was made for me a few years ago when I put the GT engine together. So I've got it all set up on the engine at top dead center. It's dead center according to the flywheel marking. So we need to be looking at getting this pointing over to lead 1. I'll take that off. It's like kind of at the 2 o'clock position. Just take that dizzy off. Turn this around. going to be around there, and yeah, I can see that that lines up down inside the chamber. So let's try and slide this in. There we go, I feel that lock down. Needs a little bit of motivation to get down. I'll just take this back out. I'll just undo these a bit. Alright, again. So it's about the 230 position. Alright, there we go. It's in. Alright, we'll leave that loose because we'll have to do some adjustments. Alright, we'll get the coil in and the spark plugs and tidy this up. So we went ahead and got the radiator fully restored. We got a new core in it. This is the original radiator. So painted lovely black there with an all new core, original head on top, upper and lower tanks. So I go ahead and install this, hopefully not dent any of the fantastic new fins. Well, I've got all the screws, so I'll go and grab them and install this. Alright, we've got the fan set. It's always a good thing though to check inside there to make sure it's not rubbing on the fins. I have to change out one sliding lock nut just here though. I can do that a bit later. This is the original hose that I bought with the GT. I'm inclined to keep on using it. I like the aged look of it. And I've just bypassed the whole heater element by running a length of hose from the outlet tap to the return. So I've rigged it up with this little gravity fed fuel container. I've used this before, but we'll hang this up. We'll fill it up with premium and test run the vehicle engine out of the car with this. Won't bother measuring the temperature, won't run long enough, but we'll keep the oil pressure gauge connected up to get some readings. Here's the old rubber mount. Don't know the age of this one, if it's the original or not, but we're not going to install that. We'll just put a new one on. I've ordered already. So we're nearly ready to go with the startup of this engine out of the car. I've just put a line on the coil now. We've got the Dizzy loosely set up. It's full of oil as we've done before, but now I'm going to fill it up with distilled water. I won't put any coolant in it. We'll just run it full of water because I didn't clean any of the chambers and galleries here. So before I do that, I've got a stocking here. I don't know what kind of gunk is inside here, so we're going to fit this stocking over the thermostat housing, reconnect the hose and clamp it down. So that should, I'll feed it in here. That should go and collect all of the gunk that's in the block in the head. I've done this before to some success, but we'll go ahead and do that anyway. Feed it in there. Hopefully it collects inside it and the water can still flow through this stocking. And then we'll be emptying all the water out anyway. It'll just be for an initial run. Anyway, we'll go ahead and fit that. just using demineralized water. Alright, so we got the engine set up. I'm putting one of the legs of the engine hoist over the remote gear selector mechanism housing to stop it flying forwards. And then I'll also attach this to just this stud on the head to stop it also rocking forward. So yeah, the engine will rock just a little bit, not a lot. That's a bit overkill. I've done this before, and you know, as long as you don't rev the heck out of it, it's not going to fly forward. But that's just a precaution. We've just wired up with a lead here to the starter solenoid over to the coil, and the coil is connected to the dizzy that we know that's working. This is just there for display. It's not actually going to have a coil on it. I can reconnect this now. So we know these leads, we know this distributor and the coil. We've got a new starter solenoid. We've got a set of twin SUs that I have run previously on an engine that I ran, so I know that they're in working order, although they have sat for a year. There may be some little issues there. We've got the heat-up bypass, we've got the PCV valve with a new diaphragm in there. These have all been set to 12 thou of an inch. I've marked it roughly to top dead center. The engine's currently at top dead center. It hasn't been turned over. I got my timing light. We'll connect that soon. That can just go over to the side. I got to connect the alternator back to the solenoid. So that'll connect to here as well. I've got my trigger. So this will connect to the live, and also to the starter, which is here, like the ignition. So when we're good to go, we'll crank it over, try to get it started. I'm reusing my old radiator cap, and it was looking pretty crusty before, so I've actually CAD plated it, or zinc plated it, sorry. This seal's probably perished though, but we'll see how it works. So yeah, zinc plating on the top with a blue passivate, and the radiator fluid level is still at the top. Here's some more parts that I've plated with the home plating kit. Door strikers. It came out really nice. These are for the flywheel markings, timing markings on the flywheel cover, the WOC. These are for the 15 AC alternator. We've done a hose clamp. It's an old-fashioned style one, so I'd like to reuse that one. And we've done these ports. So I think that's for the PCV valve on the inlet manifold. And this one here is for the brake booster or the servo. So we've got to take this edge off it, so it doesn't need the flared end when it connects to the collector of the extractors. So I'm using a set of Maniflow extractors here. And this is the collector, so the collector already has the flared end, so we cut that piece off and this will feed inside the flared end. The other end is also straight, and that fits inside the flared end of the RC40 exhaust. So I'll go ahead and cut this bend off it now, so we can feed it into here. Alright, so the flared end's cut off. Did a bit of trimming and filed it. It's not the best of jobs, but we may have to trim more anyway, so hopefully that can fit in there nicely now. Beautiful. Just to protect the chrome work or the polished look on the end, I've just raised it a bit, so that's fitted now. That's good enough for the trial. Okay, we've got the alternator connected, Dizzy's wired up, got a positive to the coil there. We're now live. Here we go. Right, well that didn't work. This is a brand new battery, and I think I flattened it. It should turn over, and it should turn over quick. So I'll give up on this battery. I'll get the battery out of the other car. Negative. Positive here. Alright, so we finally got the engine to run. I couldn't use the batteries, they're well down on power at the moment, so I've got to charge them up, so I had to use the Jeep, but it was really lethargic turning the starter motor over. A bit worried about that, but it ran, used up all the fuel pretty much. I've had a lot of trouble with the float bowls, so I had to play around with them for a little bit, but yeah, finally got it running. And I've got it timed to 10 degrees before top dead center, so it's timed pretty well for the moment. However, we'll probably have to take this Dizzy back out now in the coil because that's not the one that's going in the car. But nevertheless, we got it running, so I'm happy with that. I'll look for oil leaks now, and if there's no leaks, then we'll prepare this to put into the car. There should be a lot of dirt and debris collected into here now, so I'll take this off when it cools down, and we'll get all that dust out as well. We've got to drain the radiator as well, and then take it off to install in the car. Oil pressure was up to 90 psi, so it's a little high to be honest. Not too comfortable about that. So we may have to keep an eye on that when it warms up. I'll just see if it cools down to a bit of a lower PSI. But we got spark, fuel was flowing. These two carbs, I knew that they will be reliable. So yeah, pretty pleased with that result. So I've taken the top radiator hose off, and here's the stocking, so we'll take a look. I haven't had a look in here yet, but the water I drained out of the radiator and it was just mud. So having a look in here, Yep. Quite a bit of debris there actually. Seems to have worked. Yeah, quite a lot of debris. It was probably mostly in the head because the head was exposed to the garage for many months. So this is probably just a bit of dust that was just below the thermostat housing. So we've got the engine all on the dolly now, taking it off the crane now. We'll let that drip overnight. It'll take a while, and yeah, we'll roll it back towards the car to prepare it for putting in the car.